Okay, I will explain again actually. So I am starting loop for today because loop will be very, very important. So loop is a piece of code actually, is a kind of formula you are adding inside the method to display or print some code multiple times, right? So as I said, so far, whatever we did last 2 weeks, to display anything, you are using this print method, right? This is a print method. So print method you are using, and print method will be displaying this code only once, because without loop method, you are not giving any other formula or instruction. So we are adding a print loop, right? So loop will be a kind of formula. You see that? So there will be a starting point, ending point, and how many times you want to display. I'll be showing this little later. But as I said, it will be saving you time. It will be saving a lot of space, right? Code will be more neat and clean. And end of the day, it will be saving performance also. So loop will be very, very useful when you write Selenium code in the future and do the framework. Your code will be neat and clean. So you'll be using loop a lot in actually real life practice for automation. Now, for example, if I want to do these 3 lines as a comment, how I can make a comment, these 3 lines? Can somebody tell what will be the multi-line comment option?
Yes, then you will give star.
Okay, so now star, and I'm giving another star maybe here, right?
The star and
okay.
Slash.
So now I gave here, so this is one extra. I don't need here actually, right? Okay, so actually I need to give here. Okay, so I'm making this loop statement as a comment. Now, if I want to write this one without loop, now if I want to type so for example, you want to type this 10 times, right? So far without loop, you have to type every time, right? How many times you want? Now if you run this, it's giving you error. Okay, so okay, this is coming from here. Okay. Okay, can somebody tell why this is giving error? So actually, so it's coming here all the time. Okay, so I'm just adding a static. Okay. Continue. Okay. Public static. Okay. It's going here. Okay, so I don't need this. So Okay, so because I didn't add actually main method, that's why it was giving error. So you see that for example, I want to display this 10 times, right? So what I did, I wrote the code 10 times. The line was written 10 times. So you see that you need a lot of space here, and at the same time you need time, right? And if you have a Selenium framework and you have to do this every time, you will have maybe 10,000 lines of code without loop. Your code will be too big and maintenance will be really, really bad actually, right? So to avoid these type of issues, there is a formula, right? Inside the method you can add, that is a loop statement. They're called loop statement. And loop statement exactly is a kind of a formula that you'll be using. So now if I just delete this, and same thing I want to display without typing, this is 10 times, right? Now I'm just removing this comment. So you see that that is a formula, and in the formula you will be saying what is your starting point, and this is the starting point, I equal to 1, right? This is your starting point, and int is the data type. So 1 is a number, right? That's why this is int. So starting point int, and this is a for loop. You see that for loop? So you are actually using a condition, and condition is kind of formula. You have to kind of maybe understand it or memorize it. Int is the starting point, and in here starting point is the 1, and now here is the formula how long it will be running, right? So if you run this, for example, so can somebody tell me why this is 0 and there is no line written, just from your just basic understanding?
Because in the formula you put 0.
No, actually the formula says start from 1, but you gave a condition that run only when this is less than 1 or 0. So your starting point is not matching, right? Now if you give here instead of 1, if you give here 2, for example, just give 2, right? And now if you run this, what is your expectation?
Is it true?
Your expectation is running 2 times this line. You see that?
Oh.
So if you give here 0, for example, instead of 1, you're just giving 0. So what will be your expectation actually? 0, 1, 2, right? It will be 3 times, right here. You see that you are just controlling here your starting point, and then what is the expected number you are looking for. So if I say I want to run this for 100 times, so what you have to type here? 100, right? You see that you are displaying this line 100 times. So in the loop, you said, I want to run this from 1 to 100 times. You see that this statement, this formula, you are understanding this formula. This is a formula actually. This is a starting point, and this is kind of ending point. You see that? And this is a sign for increment and decrement. You need this for loop, because if you don't give this, it will be running here and it will stop. So plus plus means continue, keep going. You are giving instruction that just keep going until it reach 100. So now if I give here, instead of less than equal to, I am just giving you less than 100. So how many times you supposed to see here?
99 times.
So here, no, now I'm giving 10. So less than, no equal to, just less than, and 10. So how many line you are expecting to see here?
9.
9.
9. Yes. So this is correct. So you will see 9 line. So you see that only giving one formula, small formula, you can display this line 100 times, 1000 times, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times based on this boundary, right? You see that you are just giving some boundary that I want to see from this and this. So this is one of the biggest actually positive side for using loop statement, right? You are saving a lot of time. You are saving a lot of time. And
That means via its loops formula, right? We need to memorize
yeah,
this.
so this is loop statement. They don't say formula, but they say loop statement. But I'm saying from understanding level, this is kind of a formula actually. You are just giving some, you are just modifying this, giving one number. This is kind of a like a formula you can use, right? But this is called loop statement in Java. And loop statement.
So I have a
is
quick
very, very
question.
important. Yes.
So you know how you put less than 10? So we can control that less than and equal to. So we can put equal to, we can put less than equal to. It depends on us what we want.
Yes.
Or is it just a specific formula that we have to follow?
Depending on whatever you are testing, right? Sometimes you are checking something and you want to display on the screen 100 stuff. This is just like theory, right? So in real life, for example, you are checking some drop down in Amazon.com and you are searching one iPhone 12 and you want to display only 50 result, top 50 result, then you will be giving 50 here, right?
Okay.
In theory, actually, this is like, but when you practice Selenium framework, you will see there will be use of this type of loop statement, sometimes switch statement, sometimes if-else statement. Depending on what you are testing, you have to use this type of statement or formula or code actually.
So Bhaiya, can I use less than instead of equal to or greater than or any other symbol?
Here,
Yeah.
if you use, for example, 10, if you use equal to, right? Now, they don't actually accept equal to. They only accept less than or equal to, or less than or greater than or greater than or equal to, like this for loop statement. So if you give only equal to, right? Single equal to you cannot use. Double equal to, if you, for example, if you run this, what is your expectation?
It's 10 times.
It's not 10 times actually, because you are giving your starting point 1 and you are saying this equal to 10 means it is only 10, but you are not actually reaching 10. You start at 1 and you have, the code has to be stopped here because you are not reaching at 10. That's why when you're giving less than equal to, for example, that means you have to giving a condition that, okay, starting 1, but 1 is smaller than 10, right? If you give equal to, it will not be meeting your starting point. Your starting point has to meet here. Hello? You got it? Why we are using, instead of equal to, we are using less than?
Yeah, Bhaiya, I think it's the method that they use less than. I don't use equal to or any other symbol in
Yes,
there.
yes. Yeah, this method is only for less
Less
than
than or less than equal
or
to.
greater than. You can use greater than also.
Can we use greater than? Yeah, yeah. Just
You can
for
use
show.
greater than. For example, if you, okay, so I'm showing you decrement method, right? So this is actually greater than, right? Now, your starting point is 10. So now you are going backward. Your starting point is backward. So you are now want to display from 10 to 1, right? So if you run this, you see that 10, 9, 8. So here you are just giving greater than equal to or greater than. So here it ended at 2. So how you can see 1? If you want to see one more line, you can just simply give a equal sign right here. Now, if you run this, so you see that sometimes you use backward. When you use backward, it will be greater than. So you have to just switch greater than and less than. So when you go to backward, you have to use decrement. So I minus minus. So for increment, right? So when you go to your bigger number, right? From smaller to bigger, you use increment, means plus plus, going positive.
Can we use to increment statement or decrement statement? Can we call
Increment statement and decrement statement?
Yeah.
We are using here increment and decrement statement. So this is increment statement and this one is decrement.
Statement.
So this is decrement example actually. This one is decrement. Decrement means just going backward, right? 10, 9, 8, then 1. And here it was increment, right? This one, if you run this actually. So here, if I say, I'm just, for example, so you can see this one, right? This is increment example, right? So you're starting from 1 and going positive direction. So you can just, okay, for example, if you don't want to use this.
Can you use the decrement example for increment?
Decrement example for increment? You
Yep.
cannot, I don't think you can use both at the same time, increment and decrement. No. You have to use one of them at the same time.
Okay.
Depending on scenario you are testing, you have to use. Sometimes you have to, for example, if you say, okay, I want to see bottom 10 piece, so then you have to use maybe decrement, right? So if you want to see first 10 piece, then you have to use increment.
No, I think what he meant was, you know how you have I want a display this time 10 times. In the decrement, it's a different statement. So if you want to use the same statement, that way we can compare.
Oh, okay. So if I go, for example, okay.
On your decrement statement,
so,
on the other.
Okay, so yeah, so this one, right? So I am just making this comment, right? Multi-line comment, for example. Now, if I just copy this, so I want to make it, instead of increment situation, I want to make it decrement situation, right? So yes. What are you gonna do? So if you see here, instead of 1, right, giving you 10, just, you can give any number, I'm just giving 10. So now I'm giving, instead of less than, I'm giving greater than. Now, instead of plus plus means increment, I'm just making it decrement. So if I run this now, I should see same thing, right? Here you cannot actually see the change because I'm just displaying same line again and again, right? But here you can see change because you are actually using I, right?
Yeah, can you use this example? The value of is one is plus I, or instead of plus 1, 2, like that.
Okay.
This example, yeah.
Instead of writing this, I'm just going this, right? This one, right?
Right there. This one.
Oh, I didn't give something. Oh, I gave 2 parentheses here. You see that? There are, instead of 1 parenthesis, I gave 2 parentheses. Okay, now should be good. You see that is same thing. It is now decrement. So basically decrement, you have to use decrement symbol, this one, I minus minus, and increment, you have to use I plus plus.
But can we use plus plus?
Here.
Yeah. Instead of minus.
If you use plus plus, it will be giving 0 because your starting point will never meet the expectation, or it will, okay, it will probably give 1 line. Let me check. So now if you give plus plus, because your starting point is 10, right?
Yeah.
And this is infinity now. You have to, this will be infinity. You have to just stop it manually here. Because you are not giving the realistic boundary. Your starting point and ending point. So ending point will be always less than 10, right? More than 10. You see that your ending point you are giving is greater than 1, right? So it will be always greater than 1, infinity. This millions of number is greater than 1. So if you change now here, right? Now I am saying, okay, instead of 10, I am giving here 15. So now what's going to happen? Now it will be running maybe 5 or 6 times, right? Because I'm just giving the boundary, changing the boundary, right? So why there is nothing here? Can somebody tell?
I equals to 10, I is greater than 15.
So you are saying that your number will be bigger than 15.
15.
But you are giving starting point 10. So you actually not giving anything actually. So now if you want to see the right information here, you have to make it actually decrement way. So now if I want to see, so if I give this one now, for example, what is the expectation here? Huh? You know what is the expectation here? Increment and decrement. So you see this is coming right direction. So now if you want to see only five value, for example, you want to see from 7 to 2, what do you have to write? If you want to see 7 to 2, can somebody tell what I have to change here? I want to see the 7 to 2.
I equals to 7.
Okay. I equal to 7. Okay. So now you will see 7 to 2, right? So what other way you can? So two things you have to see here. If you want to modify the view or the result or whatever the display, you have to think about what is the starting point and what is the ending point. And your starting point always need to be true for the condition. You see that this is the condition. If this condition doesn't meet the, like for example, this is the condition, right? If condition doesn't meet with starting point, you will see no result here. Now, if I see here, if I give, for example, 1, right? If I give 8, this condition will never meet, right? Your starting point is 7, but you are giving I will be bigger than 8. So your condition will meet here. What about if I give just instead of 8, I give 7? What is your expectation here if I run this? Can somebody tell what is the expectation here?
Maybe 1 line.
There will be no line actually. Because this is 7 will be less than I, right? If you give equal to, you will see 1 line actually. If you give equal to instead of that, now you are meeting the condition. You see that 7 equal to 7? You will see at least 1 line here. So now if I run this, how many lines you'll see? You will see 1 line, right? So you got the logic here. This is a small formula, but there are some logic inside. Starting point and the condition. Now, if you give instead of 7, if you give instead of 7, here is 5. I'm giving 5. So how many lines you supposed to see? You're supposed to see 7, 6, and 5. 3 lines, right? You see the logic here? This is starting point, and it is going backward now because this is decrement. So first it will print for 7, next it will print for 6, and then it will print for 5. And you're saying stop when it is bigger than 5. Or what is that? So you see that? So you just playing around with this starting point and the condition you are giving. And this symbol is basically you are going positive direction or you are going negative direction or backward. So increment.
Can I make it 5, 6, 7? This loop.
You want to make it 5, 6, 7?
6, 7, yeah.
So then you have to go with positive direction. Here, you see that? So it is going backward because of decrement. If you want to go to positive direction, it has to be increment. So if you do increment, you can do 5, 6, 7. So here you are giving starting point as 5, right? And now here you are giving, and instead of 10, you are giving 7, right? Now I am just removing this one. So I'm making comment, this the decrement is the comment now. So now if I run this, you will see 5, 6, 7. Actually, this is the line, but I want to type this one, right? So you want to see 5, 6, 7 number. So I'm just giving here. Okay, so if I write this, so now you'll see 5, 6, 7. So you got it, right? So when you
Yeah,
go,
I got it. I got
so
it.
when you want to see the positive direction, you have to give increment. When you want to see negative direction, you want to give decrement. But this is the most important part. This is the middle part. The condition is matching or not. Your starting point and the condition. So this is for loop. So you will see this for loop many times actually. When you'll see even next week when Jewelby will start maybe beginning of Selenium, you will see for loop also. So this is for loop, but similar to for loop, there is another one, is while loop. So for loop and while loop, and another one is do while loop. There is 3 different loop, and this is an interview question. What are the difference between these 3 loop actually? And there are basic differences. If you see, okay. So you saw for loop here, right? So it is, formula is here, right? So do while loop and while loop will be displaying exactly same thing, but the location of this formula, the condition, right, will be like moving to different places. For example, if I see do while loop, actually before going to do while loop, I'm going to while loop. So you are giving this formula, right? Starting point will be same. Starting point will be same. Now they're just rearranging the line, right? Little bit. If you see this, now similar to this, here, right? So for loop are giving condition, starting point, and increment, decrement in the same parenthesis. But in the while loop, they're not in the same parenthesis. They're just displaying separately. So starting point will be this one, and the condition will be inside the while, and whatever you want to display, and the increment, decrement is coming in the next curly bracket. So exactly same thing, whatever you see here, but they are just rearranging, right? Starting point will be outside from this first parenthesis. So it is kind of rearranging the formula. But if you want to see this line, so here, how many times you will see this line? If I run this code, can somebody tell how many times it will be? If I run this code, how many times I will see this line?
One.
One time.
One time?
One.
Okay. So I see there is nothing, right? Because you see, remember, your starting point has to match with the condition. This is the main point for loop, while loop. You gave starting point equal to 1, but here you said
So it's 0.
it's less than 0.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
means it is not matching. Now, even you give 1 here, instead of 0, you're giving 1. It's still not matching, right?
We have to put
I equal to less
Yeah,
than
still
1.
not matching.
Still not matching. So now if you give 2, you can now see one line.
One
Right?
line. Right. Right.
Because now your condition is matching.
Oh, it has to be more than 1 then.
Yes, because you said your starting point 1, that means your condition has to match with more than one, right? Or
Oh,
at least one.
yes.
Now, if I give less than or equal to also, then you see two line, because you will see for 1 and 2 both. If you don't give equal to, then only one line, because 2 is just 1 bigger than 1, right? Now you'll see two line because I gave equal to also. Exactly same concept. Exactly same concept that you saw in for loop. Exactly same concept, but the location of this starting point and the condition will be just rearranged. So anybody has any confusion on while loop actually? And increment sign is coming at the end for while loop. In the for loop, you will see increment sign is coming inside the same line, right? Starting point, condition, and the increment decrement. But in while loop, it is coming in at the end. So there is a interview question. What is the difference between while loop and do while loop? So there is another one is do while loop. Now, can somebody see from this, just from this code? I didn't explain yet, but can somebody just tell me that what is the difference between while loop and do while loop here? It's very similar, right? One big point here, your condition is coming at the end. You see? So this is the interview question. Now, even you give any number here, you will see at least one time. So there will be no condition validation for first run. Only after first run, you will see they're checking the condition for do while loop. Same formula, they are just rearranging. This is while loop, right? And this is do while loop. You see that? I'm just showing same thing here and here. So I am just, okay, I'm just copying this, then you will see the difference. So, okay. So now I gave 1 here. So what is your expectation here? If I run this code?
It's 0.
0, right?
Right.
Same code I gave here for do while loop, right? But you will see one line because they're not matching this, they're not checking this condition actually.
Bhaiya, remove the comments first.
Okay. Okay. So I want to make the comment here. Okay. Just giving comment. So now this is active, right? So while loop, you see there is 0, right? Exactly same code I'm writing here. So do you see any difference between these two code, right? Only thing, this while is coming at the end, right? While loop had this right after the starting point, but do while loop, this is, the condition is at the end. This part you understood, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if you run this, you see that you see this line, right? But for while loop, you didn't see that line. Even though this one actually is less than 1 here. So it just started and ran this. Now this is increment and came to condition. So when it came to condition point and it saw that this one is not matching with that, so it didn't go to next line. Now if I give 2 here, and if I give 2 here, so if I run this and if I run this, how many line I will see? Can somebody tell how many line for this and how many line for this if I run this code?
5 lines.
This
For
is
while
5
it's 1 line, and for do while line it's 1,
I think it's 1 line.
2 line,
So-
2 line for do while.
For do while will be 2 line. Let's see. You see just 1 line. Because both is meeting for 1, they just came to this point where they satisfies with 1 condition only. Even though I give here 2, even I give here more than 2, like 100. If I give here 3, right, it will be displaying 2 line. If I give 4, it will be displaying how many line here?
Line, 1 line, because they don't count the condition.
3 lines.
No, they always count the condition after first run.
It will be
This
3
is the-
lines.
There will be 3 line, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This will be displaying 3 line. You see? So the biggest difference is for first line, do while loop, don't check the condition. From the second line, they check the condition. This is the difference between while and do while. For while loop, they will check the condition from line 1. But from do while loop, they will start checking condition from line 2. This is the difference actually. So this is important concept because this will be maybe your interview question actually. What is the difference between while loop and do while loop? So anybody has confusion between these two loop? Between while loop and do while loop?
Yeah, a little bit confusion.
So while loop will be checking the condition from line 1, but do while loop will be checking condition from line 2. Because for do while loop, first line will be displayed no matter what condition is there. It will not check the condition for do while loop. So this is do while loop. You see that do while loop? Because the condition is always at the end. That's why it's not checking the condition for first time.
That
So
means it is the condition that while loops count the first line and do while loop count the second line. This is the
Yes.
condition, right?
Yes, and this is the actually only difference from the coding perspective. And if you see from display purpose, while loop will always display at least, do while loop will display always at least one line. Because first line, there is no condition validation, right? For do while loop. Yeah. So one thing I would suggest actually, if you go to W3 School, right? You see that while loop, for loop, try to practice with them also. See that they have more example and more explanation here. While loop and do while loop. So I already gave you this link, right? W3 School Java tutorial
Mhm.
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
We got it.
I think try to read those, and also they explained actually better than 100-200 times better than my explanation. So plus you can practice, try it yourself and practice, then you can just play around with the number. If you play around and practice, you will understand more actually. But one important point here, while loop will check condition at the beginning, but do while loop will be checking condition after first line. Okay. So another important I think topic I want to cover before going to OOPS concept is exception handling, because exception handling will be very, very important. This one. So in Java, you will see there is sometimes, especially when you do automation practice, right? Automation testing, for small problem, your entire code will be failed. So you don't want to see that all the test cases fails because of just one simple problem. So maybe you have 20 test classes or 20 steps, and number 4 has some problem. And because of this problem, your rest of these 16 test cases also fails. But you can actually avoid this. The way you can avoid this in Java, they call exception handling actually. So you will be just adding one layer of line where you will be adding the exception. So exception handling will be part of your day-to-day life automation code, where you will be avoiding all the unexpected behavior. So for example, if I go to my note actually, so exception handling. Before going to array, okay. So this note will be actually distributed to all of you. So what is exceptions in Java? So exceptions are the events, right, that occur during execution. So when you run the code, there are some exceptions, right? For example, if you divide some number with 0, what is the answer actually? If you divide some number with 0, this is a valid number, for example.
No.
This is kind of
It's
infinite
infinite.
or something like mathematical error or something, right?
Yes.
So you see,
Right.
this type of situation sometimes you have to face during execution. So for this type of situation, you will be using exceptions in your code so that you can move on. Just basically you are just skipping this point. You will be skipping this type of issue came, and you will say, and you will give a instruction to code that, okay, you can move on, skip this and just move on. This is will be exception, and this is called exception mechanism, or if what is that, exception handling actually. So exception mechanism, sometimes in interview they can ask you what is try catch mechanism. So try catch mechanism is basically is another way to do exception handling. So basically this is the format. Your code will be inside the try. So if you see that, okay, out of 10 test cases, test case number 3 probably will be giving you error or has problem. So any problematic code will be inside the try block. So this is a block actually. There are total of 2 blocks, for example, or depending how you write it. So one will be try block and one will be catch block. So try block will have all the problematic code, and catch block will have all the remaining good one, right? So problematic code inside the try, and you will be giving this code because probably they will be saying, okay, there is a mathematical error or some problem that I cannot move on, but you are saying that, okay, catch this problem and move on. So you see that this extra word, exception E, this is a block, another block that will be catching from this try. So this concept is the problematic code will be executed here and will be sending the message here, and this message will be accepted and code will be executing, and the whole execution will be move on actually. If I go to real life practice, then I think it will be easier to understand. Just closing this. Exception demo, okay, decrement. Okay, so now if I write this, if I run this, what is the expectation? Can somebody say what is the expectation here?
That will be error, I think.
It's supposed to have an error, right? Because I'm just dividing 10 with like 10 divided by 0, right? That's the mathematical arithmetic error, right? So you see that this is an arithmetic exception. It says the code actually ran with error. Now, to avoid this, what you have to do? You have to use try catch mechanism. Now you see that here, I gave this code inside the try. There's a try block, there is a catch block. Inside the try block, I gave the code from here, right? Because before I see this gave actually error here, right? It didn't run properly. Now to avoid this problem, I'm saying, okay, this problematic code will be inside the try block, and then there will be a piece of code is catch, exception E. Means this is kind of filter. You are filtering out and you are just saying, okay, skip this part and move on and display these two. Or for example, these two is two different test cases or 2 different code. So they will be skipping this part and just run these 2. So you understood the concept actually. Anybody has confusion what exception is doing here? Hello?
Yeah,
Not
repeat
so
it.
far.
Oh, so far, okay. Okay, so because you will be using this exception a lot in Selenium code. So now if I run this, what will be the expectation? Can somebody tell what is the expectation here if I run this code?
I think it will not show any error.
So it will not show error, and at the same time, it will be skipping this code and now move on and run these two code, right? Before that, these two code also failed because this failed, right?
Yep.
Now this will be just avoided and move on for these two. Now run this. Now you saw that there is no problem here, no exceptions, no error. Exit code with 0 means success, means these two cases passed, right? Because of catch, try catch, and exception, everything is kind of formula, right? Similar like for do while loop, there are try catch is a block, right? Inside the try, bad code. Inside the catch, good code. Now, this is a common formula for exception.
Bhaiya, that means I can't ignore the code inside of try, so that I just make this formula, I just input this formula so that I run the another code like which I input the catch, right?
Yes, actually. So basically what happens sometimes, you are working for a sprint 1, for example, and you have 200 test cases you want to run. You want to automate 200 test script. So you have 200 test script, and out of 200 test script, only one test script is giving problem. So what you will do, and because of this only one test script failure, all of your test scripts are failing. So to avoid this kind of situation, whatever test script failed or giving you problem, you will be adding this problematic script inside the try block here. And remaining of your, like if you have 100 test script, 99 script will be here. So that every time you run, there will be no problem. That one test case will be just avoided or skipped. And end of the day, all other test script will be run successfully.
So, Bhaiya, one question. So
Yes.
if the 99 cases is successful, the one is not successful, is
Yes.
there any problem?
There is a problem, because if you don't use try catch, this is the problem in Java. If you have 200 line here, if you just give one line wrong, all 200 line will be failed.
Okay, so if I manually make a correction to the wrong one, then everything is fine, right? Then I don't have to use.
You can do one thing. You can just make a comment. You can put a comment on the bad one.
Okay.
But sometimes you have to do multiple places. So they like using exception is the standard one, actually everybody use.
Because my job will be finding the error, right? Not
Yes.
not fixing the code.
Yes.
Okay.
That means we
you have
cannot
to
edit
fix
or
the code
delete
sometimes.
something.
No, you have to fix the code sometimes, because you are writing this, right?
Yeah.
No, you are not fixing the code for the product, but you are fixing the code for your test case.
Now, my question is, since the one test case is failing,
yes,
and I put the comment, right? This is inside the try block, and
yes.
what's gonna happen next? The coder will fix the error, or I have to fix the error?
No. Code will not be fixed immediately,
Okay.
but your test case will run successfully. Now you
Okay.
have to debug, and you have to check that why that code actually went to error.
Yes.
So putting exception doesn't mean that you are just fixing the code. The exception is for actually running the code smoothly.
Okay.
But to fix the code, you need debugging. Actually, you have to check. Okay, you have to go back to this code. Okay, why there is a problem? So you figure out that okay, 10 divided by 0 is a problem. So you will be fixing that. So the good thing is inside the try block. Inside the try block, you can actually use good code also. If you use good code, it will just move on. It will just, like now, if I give here, for example, if I give here instead of 10, I give 2, right? So instead of 2 line, what will be your expectation? There will be 3 line, right?
3 lines, yeah. So 1 line.
1 line. Okay, so the condition is try this, right? And display the result.
Yeah.
So this is the opposite direction actually. So you are actually saying that, okay, try this, and if there is successful, then you don't have to run this.
I see. Okay.
But if you want to fix this problem, then you have to go and debug this, like where actually the root cause. This one. So if there is no error here, it will be just move on.
Yeah.
So you don't have to just
Then we don't need to the try catch system, right?
Sorry,
If
what
the
is
condition is, if the condition is fulfill the demand, then I
Yes.
don't need to the
try catch? Yes. So if you
try catch.
if you see that your code is perfect, you don't need try catch actually. But in Selenium framework, sometimes you will be using try catch. So if this condition doesn't match, go to other condition. Okay, so okay, another example of try catch. So this is, so now try catch, you can use multiple try catch actually. Remember, if else if, similar to try catch, you can use multiple layer here. You can have 2 catch and finally, for example, if you see this one, right? For example, this one is an exception. It is a problematic code. Now, this problematic code saying catch here. Now, if this also a problematic code, it will not be run. It will be running finally. So if you use the finally word, that means first condition will be checked, and then if they don't there are no success, then the finally will be run. So here, this is a problem, right? And now I can do same thing here, right? So let me check. If I want to use, if I copy this, and for example, here I can add this. So if I want to move this one, anything, for example, these two, you want to run, this is coming from the previous question actually. So I want to run this one. So for example, this one or something, test. Okay, test, okay. So now you can see, right? Try, catch, finally. So you have 99 test cases also, right? Previously you asked that what are going to happen 99 test cases. For this type of situation, you will be adding 99 test cases here in the finally one. You see that? So if you run this, now you can see, right? All this. Hello, you can hear me? Hello. Okay. Okay, so good test cases or test script will be now inside the finally, so that everything will be displayed on the screen or result. So you see that there is the word finally is useful to display everything. So this is try catch mechanism actually, and this is sometimes is very important topic in interview also. They ask why you use try catch, what is the mechanism, or what is exception handling. Whenever they ask exception handling, you have to say about try catch mechanism, or try block, catch block, finally block. So three different block here actually. Anybody has any confusion so far? Okay, so now so those are like basic stuff. So now I can go to class object, right? So class and object conception for Java OOPS concept. So if I type here, okay. Now I will be just setting up first. Okay. I'm just trying to see what is that. Okay. So, okay. So this one, actually, I'm just trying to see that if this code is running or not, actually. Okay. So teacher one, okay. So if you already did Code Academy, I think you already have some kind of idea about what is the object in Java, right? So this is a Java class, for example. Teacher is a class. So can somebody tell what is a class? So class will be kind of a blueprint to create some object, right? So this class, right, teacher class, will be displaying all the information about an object. And if I say object means this teacher, this is a common blueprint, right? You can say teacher 1, teacher 2, or you can say, okay, Joel Bhai is a teacher, so teacher named Joel. So this is object. So for example, if you say Joel Bhai is a teacher, right? So he has some kind of information, right? He has a name, he has some kind of subject he teach, right? He has a phone number. So all of this information is part of your class. So now if you want to create multiple teacher, you can easily use those information. And now I'm creating a test class, for example. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a new object. So what is that new object actually? So you can use two different way to create an object. You can just type teacher. So if you see that teacher, right, you have an object class name teacher. So this is your class. So you have to type class. And somebody, actually, 1 second. Okay. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So those objects, those are kind of variable, right? Some information or some basic information about that teacher. Those are variable. I'm just declaring those as a variable. Now, if I want to create a teacher, so basically I'm using this teacher class and I want to use this formula. So, or blueprint, because class is a blueprint, right? So using this blueprint, I want to create multiple teachers. So you can have, if you go to school, right, you have an English teacher, you have math teacher, you have history teacher, right? So now this is teacher coming from the class, right? And now teacher one. So this teacher one actually can be anything, any name. This is just the object name. I'm giving you teacher one here, but I can write teacher one, or I can say math teacher actually. If I say math teacher, right? So why this is red? Can somebody tell why those are red?
Yeah. In variable, the second it should be written by camel casing. Math teacher
It
T
is
is of
not
course
for
obviously
camel,
capital letter.
but red is basically I had teacher one and now I'm changing this math teacher, right? That's why this is red. So now I have to just change this the name.
You have to write math teacher all of them.
Yes. So instead of teacher one, I have to write math teacher. If I type math teacher, this red will be gone. Same thing here also, right? Actually. So another thing, whenever you have a name, right? And if you just give a dot, you see that phone number, subject, and name, they are coming from this blueprint here. Phone number, subject, and name. So if you give a dot, it will be always displayed and available for you. So now I don't have any red here. So if I just change it again, same thing, right? So if I now run this code, what's gonna happen actually? Same thing, right? Name, subject. So I am actually giving some information. I'm just assigning some information here. For example, in this blueprint, I didn't give any name, I didn't give any phone number, but in my test class, I'm using this blueprint and just assigning some name, some phone number, some subject name, this type of thing. So if I type math teacher here, you see that this is a variable. So this teacher's math teacher is a variable, and then dot, then name. And what is the name? Name is what type of data? Can somebody tell what is the data type?
String.
String, right? So since this is
Right.
string, you have to give, for example, I'm giving
Double.
Double quotation. They have to-
a double quotation, and any statement is ending with semicolon, right? Those are some
Semicolon.
basic rules for
Rules.
Java. You have to just maybe memorize those. Like now, I'm giving the name Jewel, and now I'm giving teacher. Okay, so this math teacher, and now I'm giving subject, for example, QA automation. QA automation, right? So now I'm giving phone number something different. So this teacher one is not matching because I changed this to math teacher, right? For example. So why I don't see anything here? Can somebody tell why I don't see anything here? The math teacher I don't see.
Yeah, it's capital letter starts from.
Yes. So if I give a small m, I will see. So Java is very, very case sensitive. So for example, this is your teacher's information. I gave one teacher's information. Now you can actually want to display this information here. So if I just make a quotation here, just making comment, I don't need that many line actually. I don't want to use that many line. Okay, so those are okay. So now I have to change this again, right?
Yes.
All of them will be math teacher, or since this is too big, right? I can just change to MT, right? Just shortcut MT, for example. So if I do MT, you have to just write all of them empty. All of them just empty. So if you don't change, you'll be seeing error. So this part you are understanding, right? I'm changing, why I'm changing.
Yes.
Okay. So basically I declared some variable and I am assigning some name, phone number, and subject to those variables. So this is empty. This is empty. This is empty. Okay, so now if I run this code, I will see here teacher name and phone number, and so you see that here that was the blueprint, right? But we use the same blueprint in our test class. So,
And Dubai, what is object declaration and object creation on the top?
so object declaration basically when you're using this teacher, right? So you are giving some name with the variable.
Mhm.
So you are saying, okay, what type of teacher is that? You are declaring with some variable. So teacher is the class name, right? So
Okay.
using this class name, you are declaring. Basically, you are making the connection between this object. So now you are saying this empty is coming from this teacher, means from here.
Hmm.
So this is the main connection actually. So if you don't write teacher here, for example, if you give one extra R, then everything will be red.
Right.
So this is a connection. Object declaration is basically you are creating an object from this class. You are using this blueprint. So now, so this is a lengthy process, right? So every single thing you have to type separately.
Right.
There is another formula actually you can use that is called parameter. In the parameter, you can do everything in a single line. So now this is only for one teacher, right? So if you want to create another teacher, for example, I want to create another teacher, then what you have to do actually. So this is only for one teacher I just wrote, right? So now I can say, okay, another teacher is, for example, I can write my name, okay, right? So I can say subject is, for example, Java. So now if I run this, what I will see here? Can somebody tell? I can see a error here, right? You see, you already gave empty one name, right? You cannot give same name again. You have to give maybe empty two. Now you have to change those also empty, right? So if I run this now, what will be the, so what information will be coming here?
It's all about Shanto.
No, it's
Both.
not gonna, jewel gonna be displayed twice
Twice. Mm.
because I didn't change here. You see that still empty. You have to give empty two here.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to be very careful about your object name. Now, if I run this, I'm
Both.
supposed to see two different information here, right?
Yeah.
You see that to creating object, I'm doing so many lines, like 4 or 5 lines for one teacher or one object. Now, if you have, instead of 3 variable, right? Sometimes you can have 10 variable. If you have 10 variable, there will be like 10 different line for each teacher. To reducing this type of effort, right? You don't want to write 10 or 15 line for one teacher, one object. So there is another conception is called parameter. So parameter is, I can go here. I have same thing if I go to teacher. So what is parameter actually? So in parameter, you are giving some information and as a signature here. So this is called actually signature for this method. The first one, right? I didn't have any signature here, right? Before the curly bracket, you see that curly bracket, right? Before curly bracket and after the class name, right? And you are giving all of this information here, right? All of these variables. Now you will be modifying this class or blueprint little bit. And how you modifying this? Your teacher, this part is same. Now you are just giving this all information inside the blueprint. If you see this test, right? I wrote all of this information, right? For every single teacher. Instead of writing every single teacher, I'm adding this stuff inside the blueprint so that I can just use those blueprint and I don't have to write all of this line again and again. And how I can do this? If you see this, right? Name, subject, and phone number, right? I'm creating some method. This is a method. So this is a method. So this is the interview question. How you can see something, some statement is a method. How you know that this is a method? If somebody know, can give the answer. So anytime you see this parenthesis, you can think this is a method, some type of method actually. You see this is a parenthesis, right?
Right.
And anytime you see just the curly bracket, this is a class. You see this is a class, right? So class will be starting with curly bracket, but method will be starting with simple parenthesis, right? Method will have curly bracket after your parenthesis, regular parenthesis, like regular bracket, right? So if you have a regular bracket or regular parenthesis, this is a method. So this is a simple way to know. Now inside the parenthesis, curly bracket, you are naming those. Name equal to n. You are just giving those shortcut, right? And now you are declaring this. What type of data is that, right? So you are just making this one-time investment of your effort. So you are giving all the information inside the class, because class is the formula or blueprint, right? To create all the new object inside the class, right? So you are, before you had only this part, and all of this part you had to do in the test where you will be running the code. But now you want to avoid all of these lines. Now you are just going here and giving everything, and you are just setting up the parameter. So parameter is basically, this is another interview question. What is parameterized method? So parameterized method means you are declaring all the variables and giving those inside the method signature. So this is called method signature. So where method input, right? Type. So this method signature means what type of information this method will take. So now I have three type of information, three type of data that should go to this method. One is name. So name is a string, right? Subject is a string and phone number is int, number. So this is method signature, and just declaring those method, because you said n, s, and p, right? So you have to just clarify what is n, what is s, and what is p. So basically you are just clarifying this, declaring this. Okay, n equal to name, s equal to subject, p equal to phone number. Now display information, right? So this is another method, because you see there is a parenthesis. So you are basically creating two methods. So in Java, even in Selenium, in the future, you will see you have to create sometimes method to run the code smoothly. This is one method, but those names, you can give any name actually. If I give set information 1, it can be a name. I can give display information 1. This is also a name. So this looks like it was YOLO, and now those are not YOLO anymore, because I have to change in test. Because you see that in test, if I give set information 1, and if I give display information 1, you will see this YOLO, and this came back active now. You see that? So since I changed this name, I have to change this test also. Now, instead of writing all of this information, I can give everything in a single line here. You see that? Everything in a single line. So before I wrote 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line, and then another 3 line, like 6 or 7 line. Now I'm writing just 2 line. So these 2 line, right? You see that? Same thing. You created a teacher, new teacher. So instead of teacher 1, you can say anything. So this is just a variable, right? This is teacher variable, right? You can give any name. You can give science teacher, you can give math teacher, you can give history teacher. It doesn't matter what name you give. You'll be giving the name based on your project or based on your actually application you are working on. Those are some example. The main part is this one, the using of parameterized method. So the method I created here, you see that? Now I said this method will be accepting name, subject, and from. Yes. Somebody has a question? So this is a very important concept, how you are actually reducing lines in your test and giving all the information in a single line. So this is a concept of parameterized method. So in the parameterized method, you actually reduced line, and instead of 3-4 line, you are giving. So maybe there are 7 different information you have to provide. So you are actually saving 6 line right here, and you are saving 6 line here also. So 6 and 6, 12 line you are saving, and you are just writing 2 lines. So your code will be more neat and clean. And performance time, right? You are saving a lot of time, and your maintenance will be also easier, right? So you have to just go here and check if anything needed. So for example, this is a screen. This screen has only 3 button or 3 input box. Now sprint 2, you are adding 2 more. One is maybe address, another is maybe email address, right? You can add city, country, lot of information you can add. So you can just come here and just adjust it, and then easily you can give the information here. So maintenance will be much easier, right? You are saving time, you are saving space, your code will be neat and clean. And here, right, display information, what you are doing, you are just using from the blueprint here, display information method. You don't have to write all of this code. Since you are using this, you don't have to write anything, because you already created a connection here, right? Teacher is the main connection or main blueprint. So this is the blueprint, right? Or the formula or the connection you are using for your testing. This is the teacher. So anything inside this teacher automatically is coming inside this test class, because you are using same thing. Now, if I use if I want to write teacher 2, before I had to write 7 different lines, right? Now I have to write just 2 lines, that's it. So why this is red? Can somebody tell why this is red?
It should be teacher 2.
Because the method name is not matching.
Set,
Method
yeah.
is-
It's
I
set
added 1,
information
right?
1,
You have to just add it 1.
and this information 1.
So they will always give you suggestion here. You see that you can click from here also.
Right.
or you can just add one, that's it. So if you see that, okay, so this is the second teacher, you can add now 10 different teachers similar way. So before, for each teacher you have like 7 to 12 line, and now for each teacher you have only 3 line, right? So you are saving like 9 lines for each teacher, and you are saving this line because of this parameterized method, because you are changing the your parameterized teacher class, right? Here, before it was very simple, you didn't have anything, so you are basically just calling from your parameterized class. So far, anybody has any confusion that what I'm doing? Actually, this type of concept will be used during your Selenium practice in the future.
That means in Java, we need to memorize all of this method and system to write down the code in
The
our
method
testing process.
actually, you don't have to memorize. Actually, you don't have to memorize. If you actually, for example, if you know the way, if you do just practice, for example, right? For example, for loop formula, right? For different type of loop, you definitely can memorize also, but if you do practice enough,
Yeah.
you don't actually have to memorize. You can just you can just like type easily without just watching or copying, but nobody will have any problem at your work if you just copy and paste. All they want, run the code smoothly. It doesn't matter you are copying, it doesn't matter you are watching some YouTube video and just typing something, if you are Googling something, it doesn't matter actually at work. If you copy from somebody else method, it's okay, as long as your code is working fine.
Okay, now I am relaxed. It's
No,
use.
at work you don't have to memorize those actually. So all you have to understand the concept. The main thing is you are understanding the concept or not. Now here is name, subject, phone number. Maybe at your work it will be bank account number, right? Account number, bank name, right? Or maybe state, something. The information will be a little bit changed, but the concept will be still same, right? When you write the code,
Mhm.
the concept will be always same. So right now you are just learning the concept. So what is the parameterized method? So if I ask you what is a parameterized method, you have to just giving the positive side, what is that and why you use it actually, especially in interview, right? So parameterized method is basically when you create some parameterized method where you can add multiple information in the same line, right? So before, without parameterized method, you added, for example, name in a single line, string in a what is that, phone number in a single line, subject is a single line, right? You have multiple lines. But for parameterized method, you can assign all of this information to the object using just one line, right? You don't have to write separate lines to add those information. So you are saving space, you are saving time, right? Your maintenance will be much easier also. Let me check what is okay. Okay, so okay. So okay, those are also notes here. You can actually see how you can create object, parameterized method, and everything. All the notes also here I have. but I'll be distributing to end of the class. So now there is another one you have to know. Actually, since you just understood parameterized method, you have to know one more is constructor. So constructor is another important topic, interview, for especially for interview and also day-to-day life work. Is very similar to parameterized method. I'm just closing it first. So, but this is a special method actually. Constructor will be a special method. And why this is special? Now, in parameterized method, right, you used one or two parameter, but in constructor is very similar to parameterized method, but your method name will be your class name and method name will be same in the what is that actually? So if I go back to parameterized method one more time, you will see the difference. Okay, here your methods, right, those are method name, right? Method names are different. You can use different method name, but in constructor, if you see the constructor, right, you will see your method names are exactly same as your class name actually. Where is that thing? Okay, here. So this is an example of constructor, right? You see that your class name is teacher and all of your method name also teacher, right? You see that all of this method name. And how you know those are method, as I said, you have parentheses, right? You have parentheses. So what is the difference then? In the parameterized method, those are parameterized method, right? Different type of name, different type of method name. Constructor has a, this is same name, right? Now, if you go to note, for example, I'm going to constructor first, actually. Yeah, okay. This is the constructor, okay. So constructor is a special type of method that is used to initialize the object. So for multi, what is that? So parameterized method, we also did same thing, right? So now we are initializing the object with same type of method name. So constructor, the biggest specialty of constructor is this one will have exactly same name as class. So constructor will have exactly same name. And it has no return type. You see that return type? So what is the return type here actually? If you go to regular, you see that there is a word void. This is return type, right? So in constructor, you will not write those return type. You see that here? You directly just name the constructor name as a teacher, but no return type. So what is that? Signature, right? Different type of signature. So you can write teacher method 100 times, but only difference is your signature will be different. There will be no same signature level. So this is called signature actually, that will be actually taking the information. So if you see here that all of them are pink, actually purple, but income is not purple. What does that mean? That means you probably did not use that income actually. I did not use the income, right? If I use income, it will be purple because I didn't declare income here. That's why it is purple, not purple actually. So now if you see here in the constructor, right? Similar to parameterized method, display information is same, right? This is a method. But constructor will be taking all the different type of values. You see that? You are declaring and at the same time you are assigning the values. Now, you see that here, right? This line actually previously for parameterized method, we did in 2 lines. We actually declared first, right? And then we added the information. Now we are actually reducing even half of the line. These 2 lines will be 1 line here in the constructor. These 2 lines combined is 1 line here. You see that? This line is previously you saw here in the okay, this is the parameter, right? First you declared your new teacher and then second line you are giving the information for the teacher. Now in the constructor you are declaring the teacher and at the same time you are giving all the information here. You see that all of these lines, I wrote like 7 lines. Actually, if you use parameterized method, it will be double line. And if you use not parameterized, not constructor, that will be 7 times 7, 49 line, right? So you see that how you are reducing the lines. So parameterized method and constructor, both will be very, very important. And actually most of the time you'll be using constructor in real life. And if you understood parameterized method, constructor will be also easier for you. Only difference is in the parameterized method, you are giving different method name, but in the constructor, you are giving exactly same method name that matches with the class name. So class name and constructor method name will be exactly same. And the second thing, you don't have return type. Before class method name, you are not giving void, right? Public void or this type of thing. But in parameterized method, you see you gave void, right? Here, you gave void. So this void means return type, you are not using it. So if you already understood the parameterized method, you're supposed to get the constructor also. But constructor is more neat and clean because constructor is actually saving half of the line from even parameterized method, because it is doing same thing but in a single line. First, declaration and assignment is same time. If you see, okay, let me check. Okay, what is that? If I go to object again, creating object. Okay, see here. So previously we saw creating object, then object creation, declaration, and then giving a lot of information, right? So all of these that we learned before actually will not be used in the future, because in real life, nobody want to use like 7 or 12 line instead of 1 or 2 line. So you will not see these in the future, because most of the time you will see the constructor, right? The method, constructor method, because the constructor is very, very helpful to declare and at the same time assigning the values. So you are doing both things in a single line. So anybody has any confusion about constructor versus parameterized method? This will be an interview question actually.
Confusion is when I have to use which concept. That's the confusion. Like in your real job work, when you have to.
So yeah, so in real job work, you can actually use both. But constructor will be used most of the time because you are saving saving lines. You see that savings line?
Mhm.
And another thing, constructor will be used for multiple scenarios because for large number of data input, you are using actually constructor. And you can see if you have multiple fields, for example, if I go to some W3 school, for example, now in this screen, I want to select this, and this one scenario. I want to select this and this one scenario. I want to select this one scenario. So one scenario, I'll be selecting this column. Another scenario, I'll be selecting this and this column. Another scenario, I'll be selecting this and this 3 column, right? So in this scenario, you will definitely using constructor because if you see here, right, same name, so your page source and everything will be same. You are using exactly same class. Only thing you are, instead of first, you'll be giving 3 different input. Second, you will be giving 2 input, and third, you'll be giving 1 input. And if you don't have any input, right, this is the one. So when you have no input, then you don't have to write anything inside the parentheses. So when you have multiple scenarios, right, in the same pages for multiple input, for example, you have banking login screen, right? So what you have to do, you have to give valid username, then valid password, and then click button, right? So now you are using same page. First scenario, you are giving valid username and then click. And second scenario, you are giving both valid and username and valid password. You see that same page but multiple input.
Mhm.
You are using this type of constructor.
Okay.
But you can use same thing for parameter also, parameterized. But you have to just write extra lines of code. So since we are just reducing the lines, we will be mostly using the constructor.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you actually, okay. So here you see that, right? So your information going to, so if I run this now, you'll see multiple lines of code here that will be displaying same thing that you did for parameterized method.
Right.
You see that all of this
Right. Mhm.
information.
Yep.
And this thing also will be helpful, okay, when you have sometimes you'll be testing one test data has phone number, but another test data has phone number missing. Another test data has maybe email address missing. Another test data has maybe address missing. So you see that multiple scenario you are analyzing. So
Mhm.
constructor method will be actually useful to test. for when you do automation actually.
Mm.
So I think what time it is? Oh, okay, 2:12. Okay, so since it is 2:12, I'll be just starting inheritance little bit, because inheritance will be actually mostly used when you actually practice Java framework or Selenium framework. So what is inheritance? I'm going through actually theory first. That will be much easier. So inheritance, actually the word inheritance came from biological term inheritance. For example, you are inherited some genetic mechanism from your parents, right? Everybody has some kind of physical or behavioral similarities with their parents, right? Or family member, because you have genetic combination, and through biological process, right? You actually acquire them from your parents. So sometimes you say, okay, your face looks like your mom, or your eye looks like your dad, or something like that. Those are genetic transfer to one person to another person. So those are actually inherited properties. So in Java also there are inheritance. So if you say, okay, this house is your dad's house, and somehow you will say, okay, this is my house also. When you are like kid, right? Like you go to 7th grade or 6th grade, what you say, this is our house, right? You are living with your parent, but you said this is our house. Why you say this is your house? Because you are inherited these properties from your parent. The house owner is your dad or mom or your parent, right? But you saying this is my house, that means since your parent like kind of so you are getting all these properties from your parents, you are kid, and automatically you can say, okay, this house is my house. So similar concept in Java. So this is actually part of Java OOPS concept, is very, very important. Inheritance is one of these most important one. So if you think, okay, this class, so we will be writing some class as a parent class, some class will be child class. So child class, you have to make a connection with parent class. So when you make a connection, so child class will automatically get the properties from their parent class. And this actually connection will be done through inheritance process. And in automation framework in the future, you will see, you will be always connecting one page to another page. And anytime you connect like this type of page or information you want to run, or automation testing you want to run, you have to use this inheritance concept. And there are some important reason for code reusability. So you don't want to write same code again and again. So you can just call them from your parent class or parent. Your parent properties can be just called. If your parent has 50 line of code, you don't have to write 50 line of code again. You can just make a connection, and this connection is called extend. The word extend, if you see the word extend, right? So there are total of 4 type of inheritance. One is single inheritance, 2 is multi-level inheritance, 3 is hierarchical inheritance, and 4 is multiple inheritance. So these 3 will be more important, because multiple inheritance will not be covered in Java. You will be using different option for multiple inheritance. So we'll be concentrating on 1, 2, and 3, single, multi-level, and hierarchical inheritance. So what is single inheritance, right? So basically, if your parents have only one child, that will be kind of single inheritance, right? So if this is a child, B is a child, A is parent, right? So B will be getting all the information or all the properties from A, because A is the parent, right? I'm making a little bigger so you can see maybe. Okay, so this is a parent class, this is a child class. So we are creating a connection by using the word extends. You see that extends? Now, if you use the word extends and you are extending A, means B is the child, but B is getting all the properties from A. That means if A has 50 line of code, you don't have to write this code again in B. Automatically, that code will be part of B, just using this word extend. And this is a single inheritance. Single inheritance means 1-to-1, one child to one parent. That's it. Now, what is the multi-level inheritance? So you can now go back to your grandparents right now. So multi-level means your parent is B, you are in C, and your grandparents in A, right? Your father's dad, for example. So your father got properties from your grandparents, right? And you got properties from your father. So you see that it's a multi-level. So grandparents to parents to child. So what happened when you work with C? You can extend either B, right? But you cannot actually extend A, right? You can extend A. So now, if you are a child here, so now if you extend B, so B is getting also information with A. So you can actually extend anybody from A to B. So if you are C, you are extending B, right? So automatically any properties that B has is part of C. Now B is getting properties from A also. That means C is getting all the properties from A and B. Since today we are out of time, we cannot actually see the actual real life example. So when I show you real life example next class, it will be much easier. But the concept, if you understand, this is the main word, extend. The word extend will be basically making a connection and bringing all the properties from the source or parent. So here class B extend A. That means B is getting all the properties from A. Here class C is extending B. That means C is getting all the properties from B. So if this class has 20 line of code and this class has 50 line of code, 20 plus 50, right? 70 line of code. C can just borrow them anytime. They can just get them anytime. They don't, C doesn't have to write all of this 70 line of code. This 70 line of code automatically will be part of C because of inheritance properties and inheritance concept using extends. Now, what is hierarchical inheritance? Hierarchical means now you have two other siblings, right? This is your parent. You are 3 and 4 brother and sister, right? All of them, brother and sister, easily can get properties from A, right? You see that? So this is called hierarchical inheritance. So your test class can be multiple test class and your parent can be only one, right? One parent, multiple test class as a child relationship, right? So this is same way, right? B is getting all the properties from A, C is getting all the properties from A, and D is getting all the properties from A. So far, anybody has any confusion on these 3 types of inheritance? single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and hierarchical inheritance? Those concepts?
So via multi-level inheritance, can we write public class C extends B extends A? No,
So
we
you
can
say
use
C
two extents, right?
extends A?
No. Can we write public class C extends B extends A?
No, you cannot write
No,
extend
no.
twice. You can write
Okay.
only one time.
One type.
So
Okay,
that's
got it.
why it is coming here, multiple inheritance. So basically multiple inheritance is not possible in Java. So multiple inheritance will be covered as part of interface. Actually, we have another concept is interface. Interface is actually part of 4 basic concept of oops. You see that is abstraction, right? We'll be covering actually multiple inheritance here. Encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction, right? These 4 are kind of pillar of Java actually that you need to understand at some point for understanding Java. It's not for development purpose, but development course, but this is just to understand better for automation practice. So far, I just started inheritance, right? This will be little bit smaller. Abstraction will be a little bit, you need some more example for abstraction. So end of the day, we have to cover these 4 as part of Java. But inheritance will be heavily used. Your day-to-day life automation practice, inheritance, because you always have to call one class to another class, right? And you don't want to write all the code. Like sometimes your one class has like 95 line of code. You don't want to write all of this code again, right? And also you are saving time, you are saving space, you are maintaining the code, right? For maintenance purpose, maintenance, you will see maintenance will be very, very important topic when you do automation. So automation, the biggest positive, there are some benefits, right? Time saving is one of the biggest benefit for automation. And maintenance, right? Maintenance is the second most important benefit. And end of the day, actually, maintenance will be very, very critical factor. So you will see through those Java concept like inheritance, polymorphism, or encapsulation, or we saw constructor, right? Constructor and parameterized method. Maintenance and time saving, all of them are related actually, because you are actually doing this to saving time end of the day, and also to maintain the code easily. Instead of changing 3000 line of code, you will be changing just 50 line of code using these inheritance properties, because you will be keeping all of this usable code in parents property, right? Parents class, and all you have to do, just go to parent class and change whatever is needed. You don't have to change all the test cases. But this is a big topic is coming up for next 2 months. So I think I'll be stopping here because it's almost like 2:26. But so far, inheritance, the 3 types of inheritance that I just covered, the concept wise, you didn't see the actual code, but the concept, anybody has any question about what is a single inheritance and how it works, and what is a multi-level inheritance, and what is a hierarchical inheritance? Anybody has any question about this? So those are like very, very basic concept. So I'll be sharing all of these notes with you that I shared with you today. And also the video also will be shared. So you can review if you want. And also, if you already did your Code Academy practice that Joel Bhai already assigned to you, you can complete if you did not. And as I suggested, you can always practice W3 school. W3 school is very, very good. W3 school is the concept, understanding concept is very good actually. And
Yeah,
also
W3 school is more similar to your class, but in Code Academy, it's
the
very
Code Academy
difficult.
is little challenging.
Yeah.
Little challenging. But if you understand and practice Code Academy, basically you will feel better when you practice automation code also in the future.
Okay.
Plus, I'm not sure if Joel Bhai covered yesterday Selenium IDE practice little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
He
you can
covered
practice
Selenium
Selenium
IDE
IDE also. So I will talk to Joel Bhai and send you an email actually end of the day, and the quizzes also for 2 days. So all the information will be sent to you by today. So anybody has any question? If not, then I will close the class. And
Okay, yeah, I have no question.
okay,